Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the King Island Ordinary Council meeting for the month of October 2024. For the record, today's date is Tuesday, the 15th of October 2024. I call the meeting to order and declare the meeting open at exactly 4 p.m. By me. Usual housekeeping applies. Please make sure your mobile phones are on silent or turned off so that we are not interrupted during the meeting. Thank you. Item 1, as always, is qualified advice. Pursuant to Section 65 of the Local Government Act of the State of Tasmania 1993, qualified advice has been received to fully prepare the agenda for this afternoon. Over to item 2, declaration of office. Council held a declaration of office ceremony in here last Tuesday, the 8th of October at 3 p.m. in the council chambers, where Councillor Rowan Cook was sworn in. As Mayor and on behalf of all King Island constituents, I congratulate Councillor Rowan Cook on being elected in our recent by-election. It is great to again have our 9th council seat filled and a full council sitting today, assuming Councillor Allen makes it, for the first time this year. Councillor Cook was sworn in last Tuesday just in time to join our monthly workshop, so has had some lead into today's council meeting, but certainly a baptism of fire and a steep learning curve. So great to have you with us, Councillor Rowan Cook. And given the experience around this table, I know all of us will support and mentor you for the remainder of this council term. So welcome to the team. Item 3 is attendance and apologies. I welcome all councillors and staff in attendance. Councillor Allen has mentioned that his arrival is delayed, so we'll including him in initially into our quorum numbers. So with Councillor Rowan Cook joining us and assuming Councillor Allen will make it shortly, we have 9 of 9. We have a full council, we have full quorum numbers, so we are certainly good to transact council business as required. Staff attendance, King Island staff, King Island Council staff are here as required. We've done our comms check with Malcolm, he's the only one on screen today, so we're all good. There are no staff apologies, are there? Okay, mindful that we have a few vacancies in a few heads of department. That withstanding, we have no staff apologies. Media attendance, proceedings are being recorded this afternoon as per normal business. Public attendance, on behalf of King Island Council, I welcome all interested constituents that are here in the gallery this afternoon and also those who will listen to the recording afterwards. For the opening statement, can everybody please stand? Councillors, to begin the meeting, I ask you to stand in silence to pray or reflect on our responsibilities to the people of King Island. We begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders past and present. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Thank you. Please resume your seats. Item 4 is presentations. There are nil. Item 5 is public question time. As always, if a constituent here in our gallery wishes to ask the council a question or questions without notice, I'll allow a maximum of 15 minutes public question time. Do any of the members of the public here in our gallery today wish to ask a question of the council without notice? Okay. Item 6, declaration of interests. Are there any declaration of interests for the ordinary meeting agenda this afternoon?
Well, Councillor Allen's not here. So.
Okay, we're anticipating one from Councillor Allen for the boat club, so we'll note that in advance. No others? Okay, thank you. Item 7, questions on notice. There are nil questions on notice. Item 8, questions without notice. Does any councillor have a question without notice? Deputy Mayor, are you sure? Okay, all right. We'll move on to item 9. Item 9 is confirmation of the previous minutes. The previous ordinary council meeting, our last ordinary council meeting, was this time last month on the 17th of September. Those minutes have been distributed to all involved. If councillors are satisfied, would somebody like to move that we accept and receive? Deputy Mayor has moved. Do I have a second? Councillor Laidler has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 10. Item 10.1. Item 10.1 requires us to convene as a planning authority. So therefore, would somebody like to move that we adjourn the council ordinary meeting and move into planning authority pursuant to Section 6 of the Land Use Planning Approvals Act 1993. Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Councillor David Bowden has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The planning authority is now in session. Would somebody like to move us out of Planning Authority and back into the ordinary session? Councillor Laidler has moved. Councillor Bowden has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The ordinary council meeting is now resumed. Over the page to item 11.1, Mayor's Diary for last month, September. September was an absolute doozy of a month for me as Mayor, starting with the terrible weather and the big gales that we had, which delayed my departure to get to Elgat and Hobart, but I made it there. We were there as a team. Myself, the General Manager, Deputy Mayor, Deputy GM, which was great. We enjoyed ourselves representing King Island Council for a few days, and all was well in the world. And then the King Island Dairy announcement happened, and we were inundated with media, and we had it all to do after that. So September's certainly been a challenging month, but we've also had some successes along the way, and I know all of you remain optimistic of good outcomes and things that we're currently working on. So there's nothing specifically I want to plug in my diary there, but if councillors have any questions they'd like to raise, Councillor Laidler.
Would you be able to just give us an overview of the outcome of the inaugural King Island Response Team meeting?
Yes, the King Island Response Team, CURT, is a small committee that has been stood up by the Premier, Department of Premier and Cabinet, including ourselves, local representation and others, primarily focused on a resolution of the King Island Dairy situation, hopefully encouraging and facilitating and supporting a sale of the King Island Dairy as a going concern, but moreover being prepared for economic and other economic development options for the island if for whatever reason King Island Dairy doesn't survive. We had our inaugural meeting last month of the CURT when the Premier was here in person. We held that first CURT meeting straight after we visited the dairy, and we were able to sit down and talk to all of the dairy employees. And the first CURT meeting was really just confirming and ratifying the terms of reference, working out what additional representation we wanted on the CURT team, and additional locals were selected to become part of the CURT team, including the Chamber of Commerce, including the Beef Group, and including tourism to be represented on the CURT as well. So really the first meeting was just establishing the committee, ratifying the terms of reference, working out who else we were going to invite to complement the arrangement, firming up those things. We move into our next CURT meeting next Monday, the 21st in the afternoon, and I hope, given that the CURT is properly established, we've agreed to the terms of reference, we've issued the initial communique, it's up and running and off the ground. Hopefully we'll get a bit more out of the second meeting and start to work out what this opportunity can and can't do for King Island. But certainly it's reassuring that the Premier is chairing this personally, not only because of his support and commitment to King Island, but also Braddon as a whole. And where the Premier isn't available to chair the meeting or Zoom in and dial in with us when he can't make it here in person, Minister Felix Ellis will fill in for him. So, and I add that we also have 2 Saputo representatives on that CURT meeting as well, and they are willing and able to share with us what they can about developments that are happening in the here and now with the King Island Dairy. So we will use that CURT vehicle for whatever we can to not only deal with the current situation, but also to try and shape some good economic development ideas, prospects and other things for King Island's future, and see where it takes us.
So you
Deputy Mayor.
rep and Urquhart?
Yeah, I'll just to finish, and sorry to answer your question, a roundabout way of answering your question, but just to confirm the makeup and membership of the King Island Response Team, we wanted a few more on it. I specifically, based on your feedback, wanted more councillors to be on it. I thought that was appropriate, and I lobbied for that, but the Premier disagreed, and the numbers were kept very, very tight. It's the Premier, a couple of Premier and Cabinet representatives, a state growth representatives, Senator Anne Urquhart representing the federal government. It is 2 Saputo representatives. It is a union representative. It is, as I mentioned before, ourselves as a council, myself, Deputy Mayor and General Manager as an observer, and Kitty, Chamber of Commerce, and the King Island Beef Group. Have I missed anyone?
No, that's it.
Yeah. So that's the makeup of the CURT group, and that's who we'll be running with from next Monday's meeting.
union rep too, I think.
Yeah, I mentioned that. Which, well, I forget the specific union, but it was the union that represented the majority of the King Island dairy workers. So that's that. Any further questions then relating to my diary?
I'll just congratulate the Mayor and Helen for their submission to the freight equalisation hearing yesterday. I think King Island should be proud of what they've done yesterday. It was very good. And there was 3 centres here listening to us and the privileges, so it's good.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor. I'll make a point later on when we get into the growth and strategy report about that specifically and update you on yesterday. But first and foremost, would somebody like to move acceptance of my diary for last month? Councillor Green has moved. I have a seconder. Councillor Ira Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to item 12.1, the finance report for September 2024. As we always do, we'll take our time to go through this section by section as required. And for Councillor Rowan Cook, for your info, just be mindful of the 8 pages of financial tables that are at the back there. So happy to take questions from the text or the financial tables, and we'll take our time to go through this as required. Councillor Ira Cook.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. On page 49, the second last paragraph there, it says, however, given the month of September reflects a $74,000 deficit, further work is required to ensure the income statement is accurately reflecting processes from the operations of the council quarry site. Does this mean that we've got a flaw in our reporting or something, or is it going to change the amount of dollars or anything down the line?
I might direct the question to Mr Lewis.
Yes, I throw me, Mr Mayor, I expect the overall budget and the intent of the quarry operations as a break-even is on track. The fact that we're showing a deficit at this stage is just to understanding the process. In fact, with Mr Grove, we've had some discussions earlier this afternoon, and it's probably just need to understand the different components of the process, because as councillors may not be aware, we produce for materials out of Grassy. That is then located and stockpiled at Grassy by the contractor. As step 1, as a stage 1, it's then transported to the depot at Curry. It's a step 2, and then a step 3. It's actually then taken out of the depot, the council depot, for the purpose of roadwork and road materials. So each of those are separate components. There's some overlap in the costing and timing. When we show a deficit, you'll see there for the month of $74,000. I find this is very much the process that's been probably had been in in vogue historically. I just believe that after talking to certain representatives of council and council officers, that there's a need to review that. So it's more of a reflection that yes, we believe everything's on track, but what we want to probably ensure and probably fine tune is that the costs that are coming out of the depot that the council's charging itself for roadworks, and then particularly, I guess, where appropriate, charging for private works, is fully reflective of the total cost of all those 3-step processes. So it's more about having a holistic view, understanding what the process, so that we don't get to the end of the year, and even though yes, there's a budget for a break-even position, that we're updating the price in the depot on a timely basis for recovery. So it's more a reflection, and just to say, because I'm relatively new and to some of the operations of the King Island, particularly the quarry, but really like to have a holistic view and go through from a whole process. People interview the key players to ensure that we're accounting for all the components on a timely basis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Malcolm. And when we say private works, again, for Councillor Rowan Cook and others' benefit, where we say private works, we're not talking about doing people's driveways and such. We very rarely do that these days. I don't have the capacity. Private works, for the most part, for us is state growth subbies to us. to do roadworks on the main arteries here on King Island, and we consider that private works as well, and that's where most of our private works sits. So just so you're aware of that. It's a win-win arrangement, and we are the logical choice for state growth to do roadworks here in King Island on the arteries that they're responsible for. Any other questions from councillors? Again, we'll work our way through into the financial tables. If there's any specific questions on the financial tables. Again, the table on page 57 remains a very, very good summary for where we're at as far as our capital works by project, what we've spent so far to date. Mindful that we are now nearly 4 months into the financial year, and we can see some of those bigger projects are bubbling away. Other minor ones haven't yet started, but ideally we want to see them started soon, especially as we enter the good window of summer, where we want to try and get most of our works done while the weather's conducive. All right, there's no further questions then on the financial report. Would somebody like to move that the financial report for September 2024 be received and noted? Do I have a mover? Deputy Mayor has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Healy has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to page 59. Item 13.1 is the operations report for September. And mindful that the Deputy General Manager at the moment is sitting in or wearing the hat also of the Acting Works Manager, given we haven't yet filled that critical vacancy, but it's a work in progress. So any questions will go to the Deputy GM. Deputy Mayor, did you have a question regarding South Road?
No.
Okay.
He's answered it.
Yeah, he's answered it.
Okay, all right.
Thanks, mate.
Councillor Allen. Excellent. We're up to item 13, the ops report. We're 9 of 9 councillors. Outstanding. Yeah, outstanding. Yeah, item 13, ops report. I'll just let you quickly catch up with us and...
No, just bail.
Okay, all right. Are there any questions then for the operations report? Would somebody like to move that the operations report for September be received and noted on page 61? Do I have a mover? Councillor Laidlaw has moved. Councillor Ira Cook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page to item 13.2, the airport report for September. There's actually a bit of technical content in here this month, which is good to see. And sure enough, when we had those big winter gales last month, our windsocks at the airport blew off, as they often do when we have our big annual gales. So there you go. It finally happened. And there's some extensive updates there on technical aspects for the airfield, other works that have been done, and Jayden continues to be the acting airport manager. Good to see again the upwards trajectory of aircraft movements and aircraft landings heading into to our busier months from spring onwards. Councillor Oracle, go with you first.
Yeah, page 62, 121, the bottom dot point. A firearm licence was issued to our airport reporting officer. Is this for humanely disposing of animals or birds that have been hit by aeroplanes, or is it for culling vermin or...
Trying to scare them off so that they're not a hazard to approaching aircraft, isn't it? That's one of many things.
For me, yes. It's not to go and cull. It's just in case there's an injury.
Yeah, right. So
or an immediate hazard to approaching or departing aircraft.
They usually get out of the way.
Yeah. Who else was it? Councillor Healy?
Just a comment, and a really positive comment. During the month, there were a couple of get-togethers. There was the King Island Gallery, had the Time, Place, Space opening in the airport, and also the Small Business Month had a tourism get-together. All really successful, the space worked brilliantly, and it's great to have another option.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Healy. It's good to see our airport terminal has the capacity to be used as a function venue, as well as a good old airport terminal has that versatility, and so we'll endeavour to use it more where we can. Councillor Laidlaw?
No, yes, I just wanted to compliment the King Island Aero Club for their airport weather cameras. I thought that was a positive thing.
Okay. Does that mean we'll be able to weather cam in or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'd
Councillor Green.
I'd just like to compliment Jayden on his thorough reporting. It's lovely to get such a thorough report of all the goings on at the airport.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
If I think the annual airports, aviation industry airports convention is coming up sometime
In
soon.
November, yeah.
Yeah, so he again might be our most appropriate representative to attend
He's
on our
booked
behalf. Okay, excellent. All right, good.
Through you, Mr Mayor, can I
Deputy
ask the General Manager about the airport cap? What's happening?
Airport cafe, right.
Through the Mayor, I've been advised that all of the materials have arrived on the island, but we're just waiting for the installer to become well. So apparently they're not able to install it, but the good thing is that they had come to the island some months ago, measured everything up, and everything has arrived. It's just now waiting to be installed, which is a step in the right direction.
I know we've been waiting in eager anticipation for this, and hopefully we're not far off, and hopefully when it is built and put together soon, there's an elaborate opening of some sort, because it's going to be great to see the airport finally get back to what we know is the full potential, especially heading into peak tourist season. Right, any Deputy Mayor, you'll move? Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Layla has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 14.1 is the Community and Social Development Report. The two reports merged into one for AJ. Councillor Healy.
Just a couple of comments and a quick question for AJ. Brilliant to see numbers for September, nearly, 3 times as much as the previous month, and a big increase on all of the winter months, so brilliant. We can expect it in September, but the corresponding sales is just phenomenal. That's brilliant. Also, just in the sport and rec section, I noticed that Memorial Park title issues have been resolved. That is unbelievably exciting for absolutely everybody, and we look forward to that going ahead. My question, though, through you to AJ, future exhibitions, a grant application in September for the drought exhibition in January. What's the grant situation there?
Through the Mayor, the grant was with Lagan Wellbeing Network. It's a $5,000 grant that we are going to use as a mental health drought with youth sort of idea. It's just in its basic stages, just wondering, we needed to apply for the grant, so we applied for it under that.
No, it would be a brilliant exhibition and fabulous for the entire island, so well done.
Just a question from me for AJ. When's the next spin meeting scheduled for, AJ?
It's scheduled for the end of October.
End of October.
That may be delayed to the beginning of November, depending on a workshop in Hobart with Lagan that I'd like to attend. So, but I'll need discussions with Nadia about that.
Okay, no worries, because I know quite a few councillors, myself included, don't want to attend every spin meeting, and look over your shoulder or anything, but attend out of solidarity and also just measure the pulse of what's happening around the place and see what concerns are in play.
Yeah.
So myself and other councillors welcome to attend as observers for the next spin meeting.
It is generally pretty much open.
I know Councillor Layla attends anyway.
Anybody, and it's a good way. And just if you don't know, the purpose of the spin is that everything to work outside, and then we just come together and meet to catch up and then whether we move on or not. So it's about giving the ownership back to the service providers to deliver, which has been updated in the table.
Sure. And understand their issues and concerns and where we can help and where we can advocate and where we can pile in, etc.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Councillor Myra Cook.
Yeah, with the gallery sales for September, I assume there's a decimal point goes in there somewhere. 33,000 seems a little bit higher than normal. But if it is $3,349, the commission is only 15% or roughly 15%, whereas the other commissions are 20%. Do we have a change in the...
I think, through the Mayor, I think the answer to that is that the sale was related to the exhibit, the Type A space, It was 2 pieces actually purchased of George Kennedy's by a local buyer, and I'm not quite sure how the commission actually worked with the time, place, space, but I'll have to check that.
Take it on notice, get back to you.
All right, no further questions or discussions. Would somebody... Councillor Allen?
Thanks, Mayor. I've just got one, I've asked this every meeting just about the Memorial Park upgrade. Timeline, please.
Are we going to cover the Memorial Park in more detail in another upcoming
Yes.
section?
In the next briefing, we're going to come back to council, in the next workshop, just about to finalise the plan,
Okay.
my understanding.
AJ, Councillor Allen, your discretion to go ahead with the question.
I'm just still interested in the timeline.
Well, I actually wanted to catch up with you at a session about a few things in relation to the decisions that were made about the location of the toilet, but I spoke to Marty today and we are preparing a full brief for the next workshop.
All right.
Plan, yes.
Just for the interest of the people that listen to the podcast, do we have any timelines on the ratification of the title?
Off the title, I can't answer that.
Okay. We spoke earlier about if we managed to get the go-ahead, then we would order the materials so we can get this project going before inflation just diminishes it to an extent. Have we placed the orders? Yeah.
No.
So that's a bit contrary to what we've been advised before.
Don't believe we've placed orders for anything yet.
Okay, but the question I asked a question that was basically on the line once we sort of had the go-ahead that I was understanding that we would actually place those orders to get the project going.
We will once we get the go-ahead from the land transfer, which is imminent,
Okay.
but we haven't done it yet.
But what's been reported here, that's not enough go-ahead to suffice.
No.
So what do we predict something's going to happen in the meantime that may put a block to this?
I wouldn't say a block to it, but we're waiting for the legal conveyancing process to conclude, and the Crown will then send the land back to us, back to the council, and at that point we can go ahead.
And by the time that is okay, we should have the plan and hopefully some idea about the expenditure for the toilet block and the installation of.
So it sounds like we're sort of kind of going back to the start. It's probably a comment, not a question.
Are they long lead time? Are these modules is that long lead time equipment, or is it something?
Well, it's just been. This has been a plan that we've worked on at least over 4 years. We've had a plan for this development adopted through council. I'm just getting a feeling that we may be, with going back to a workshop and let's have a few more conversations, that we may be circling back to the beginning again.
Through the mayor, that's not my understanding. My understanding is there's one issue that we just need to brief the council on so that there can be no ambiguity about one aspect of it. Other than that, if it's been ratified by council, as soon as we get the legal okay, we can then progress it.
Okay, David. Thank you.
Look, I certainly understand your frustrations, and we share. I know we all share your
my frustrations on behalf of the community.
Yeah.
I can hold my frustrations if I'm the only person on the island that's getting frustrated, but I know my frustrations are shared by councillors, and they would also be shared by the community if they're totally aware of the ridiculous delays this project's had.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're not all within our control, but by all means there may be some which are within our control.
We remain optimistic that we're on the cusp of a breakthrough, a long overdue breakthrough on this issue, and if that's the case in the months ahead, then we can go forward, full throttle, and order the equipment and deliver and the project at long last. So, hold fast in the meantime. Any other questions relating to this report? Somebody like to move that we accept this report? Councillor Healy has moved. Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 15.1, the Growth and Strategy Report for September Some of this was discussed at the workshop last Tuesday, but first and foremost, I'd just like to say thanks for Helen's support and involvement, council's, all of us, all of our collective support and involvement in getting Small Business Month off the ground, sponsoring it from the council's behalf and promoting it and being there, being present, not only for the opening but a lot of the events that have happened so far, and there's plenty more to come to see out the month. So small business needs a morale boost at the moment. We all need a morale boost, and hopefully a successful Small Business Month event is going to help us do that for the island, and remind everyone not to take King Island's great small businesses for granted, and spend your money here where you can, use it or lose it in many cases, and we want to encourage everyone to return to local businesses and support small businesses and buy stuff on island. Councillor Laidlaw?
Yep, now I just wanted to say, all the events that I've been to have been very well run and some really great speakers, and I hope the community continues to take advantage of the offerings, because now is a very good time to start thinking outside the box. And yeah, so I'm feeling much relieved about Small Business Month, and my previous comments about, small business, we can't forget, and how important they are and how impacted they have been by the drought and everything else that's going on. I think this month will certainly give them a great boost.
Absolutely. Any questions, Councillor Ira Cook?
Yeah, on the hub, additional funding opportunities, page 72. With these additional funding opportunities, has any thought been given to applying some of these grants to get the rooftop, lookout, whatever you like to call it, at the hub reinstated?
Through the GM to Helen.
And back. Yes, lots of thought has been given to it, but money is still limited. Even when there are other buckets of money, they're not bottomless buckets of money. So at the moment, the additional funding that we've applied for is predominantly around the landscaping and making sure that we're doing justice to the heritage of the site, and really linking the hub and the annex into the lighthouse, the lens room and the museum. Making sure we've got the right interpretive signage around the place, that we can partner effectively with the Historical Society, Landcare and others to really activate that space, not just through delivery of the project but beyond. We all want to do the rooftop lookout, but it would cost a fair amount more money than this grant would allow us to go for. So the amount of funding that was available through this particular application was only 110,000, and the original cost of the rooftop lookout from memory was about 75,000, and we've made other changes since we lost that rooftop that to reinstate would cost more than the 110,000 could deliver, if that's not too convoluted an answer. We'll keep a lookout though. If anybody hears of any other grant opportunities, let me know. I'm getting into a real role with the applications for this. I'd be more than happy to try and get one.
And with the federal election looming, we are already being asked for our wish lists, so there's always opportunity, and we will try and maximise where available. Councillor Laidlaw?
I was going to say that's a very relevant point, that we will need to work on our wish lists and prioritise those, because I think one of the things the community is looking at, that this is a very tight time and that we spend all our money wisely, and there's lots of projects happening, particularly in Narracoo.
Aside from the unforeseen forced delay because of the accident by one of our contractors for the hub, that should get going again soon. The solar panels and the battery banks have gone up at the boathouse. Yep. So the boathouse has been brought kicking and screaming into the 21st century, which is good to see. Caroline Kinnamoth is happy with the council. Yes. So there you go. Well, thank you, Caroline. We'll take that. So that's good, and hopefully we'll see more a frenzy of activity continue to build the hub shortly, as soon as the materials are in location and they can get going again. And also the courts. I noticed that the work continues. But the bulk of the work hasn't been done yet, won't be done until later during summer, but the Curry Court improvements continue as well. Right, any other I'll just mention the Tasmanian Freight Equalisation Scheme. I wrote this statement, but I'll just read this because I think it articulates how things went yesterday. King Island was a very united front yesterday at the Senate Tasmanian Freight Equalisation Scheme hearings in our town hall, and I commend all local representatives involved. As Mayor, I thank Senator Tyrrell, Senator Urquhart and Senator Colbeck for giving us a very receptive hearing and making King Island the fortuitous opening location for this hugely important Tasmanian Freight Equalisation Scheme Senate Committee inquiry. This is a generational opportunity to attempt to solve some of our biggest shipping and logistic problems, and I felt yesterday as a team we maximised that opportunity. The Council, the Beef Group, the Chamber of Commerce, Curdo, Stock Feeds, Elders, King Island Bakery, Phoenix House and Sharp Airlines came over. All gave compelling evidence in front of the committee yesterday in support of our cause. Our submissions and evidence was very well received. I augmented this with a pictorial presentation about King Island, our unique current economic posture, aviation and shipping challenges to explain the context to them, and also impart on them the bold aspirations for our future to make a very positive impression on them. I think we all achieved that. The committee now has a much better understanding of our suboptimal shipping arrangements and expensive freight that creates disproportionate higher costs of living here on King Island. We were very consistent in our request to have all shipped goods and aviation included under an improved future Tasmanian Freight Equalisation Scheme that restores the national highway system properly to Bass Strait Islands. So we gave it our best shot yesterday. We really came together as a cohesive team across the island, and we were very consistent in our messaging. So I thank all those that were involved yesterday. We thought it was going to happen in here, but it actually ended up happening in the town hall. The Hansard set up with all their proper recording material and everything else, and it was a bigger production than perhaps we were anticipating. But the fact that they opened the Senate hearings here on King Island, we thought that they considered us the number one priority to hear out issues, frustrations, concerns, requested improvements with the Tasmanian Freight Equalisation Scheme. So I think it's not only a compliment to us, but it's a great opportunity, and I'm confident yesterday we were given it our best shot. Any questions, any more questions relating to growth and the growth and strategy report? Councillor Allen.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Mine's to do with page 72, the Curry Courts, and I'm just delighted to see what's happening there. Those courts have been a bit sad for many years, and I'm just sort of so looking forward to when the first game of tennis is played and we get an outdoor netball game going in those courts finally. So the project's looking good. There's one aspect, and I know, General Manager, I've badgered you via email about this, and I'm still not quite understanding, but it's to do with the configuration for basketball that just intrigues me. I do understand from both the report and my emails that it's to do with the advice that's come from the contractor. So my question is, would you be able to please provide the councillors, and especially myself, the reasons why that contractor and just their design, why they came up with that configuration for basketball and how that matches up with our design brief? I'm just interested in understanding how we end up with 2 half-court basketball courts and not 1 full one, and how that is the best configuration for that facility. So I don't want to go through the nitty-gritty and dabble down in the weeds in this meeting, but could you please provide us with that advice that's been given by that particular contractor to say that is the best thing for our island?
Through the Mayor, I'll just hand the question to Ms Thomas.
So I am not a basketball player. I'll start by saying that, so I can't speak from personal experience here. In conversation with the contractor, and I have revisited this with him since the queries came through from yourself. Yeah. As I understand it, a basketball court is significantly larger than a tennis court, and you need to have sufficient space around the court before you hit a fence or a wall to be able to play safely. You can't just have the edge of the court up to the edge of the concrete pad. And we do not have space on that pad to put a full basketball court in the same direction as a tennis court. So if you think end to end, you cannot fit a basketball court end to end on top of the tennis court end to end. To put a basketball court the other way, so
Yeah, no, I understand.
for anybody listening, there's a lot of
rotate at
arm
90
movements.
degrees, yeah.
Exactly, rotate 90 degrees. The line marking becomes quite confused, and you've then got the additional risk of the sleeves for the tennis nets and the impact that has on the middle of the court. So the contractor's advice was it's not safe to have a full basketball court on that site, and so 2 half courts are being provided in their place.
Did the contractor consider having a basketball court that may not be NBL compliant in specifications, but was still a functional basketball court with basketball rings at either end with a 3-throw line and a boundary line constructed with the safe distance for runoff before players would hit an obstruction? Did they consider maybe just downsizing it so it would be a good recreation facility, recreation basketball, rather than getting, the San Francisco whatever team over to play?
I can't comment on what another party considered. I can only tell you that the advice that I was given was that it wasn't possible to put a compliant, safe court on that site, and so we've got 2 half courts.
Yeah, so I just really do see that, there's a plan B. Is it budget? Can we, at this juncture, is there sufficient budget to just get a couple more rings and configure a couple modified size basketball courts so we can actually play a game of basketball there rather than just have people just shoot a few hoops? Does budget exist to be able to really just put the polish on that project?
At this stage, the project budget for the Curry Courts is extremely tight. There is not contingency in there for really much at all. If towards the end of the project everything goes extremely well, if the work happens so quickly that we can save money on living away from home allowance or flights or accommodation, then absolutely I would be open to seeing what additional line marking and hoops would look like. But at the moment, it's not looking likely that we'll have spare capacity for that.
Yeah, just before I write them a Google review, can we please have the information they've provided? I'm just interested to understand it before I form an opinion.
All right, noted.
But I haven't got an answer to that question. Could we have the information? Is that possible? I haven't.
Can I just clarify through the Mayor, which information precisely are
just
you?
the advice from the company. I just want to read through how they've... I'm just interested in the whole details.
Can I just check with Ms Thomas whether it was verbal or in writing?
We're working with existing rundown infrastructure, and obviously we want to refurbish that and bring it back to its former glory, and we can't achieve everything with the site as it currently is. And mindful there's a full basketball court at the school, the indoor basketball court, etc. there.
I do understand that. I worked there for 40 years.
Absolutely, I'm not doubting you on that front, but it's and again for the recording, we are using all the available grant resources this year to refurbish the outdoor courts and bring them up to spec for what the island doesn't have, namely tennis and small soccer, whatever that's called, etc. Half court basketball, not ideal, but it is what it is. And then we'll deliver that this financial year, and then hopefully next financial year, with whatever grant opportunities are available or internal funding, we'll try and upgrade the Wilf Stellmaker building to have a proper, better clubhouse or whatever you call it there, change room facility to complement that facility.
I'm only banging on because I just see this as one of the things that with a little design tweak, you can make it that little bit better. Look, I've talked to a lot of people that have worked in the industry, as I have, and no one I've spoken to, because I said, just give me a reality check. Am I banging on about the wrong thing, saying we should have a ring at either end of a court rather than side by side? And, these people would be brutal with me, but they said, oh, that doesn't make sense to put them side by side. So, can we maybe do a rethink and just tweak it at this stage, and we'll just end up with something that little bit better than what we've got at the moment? So just go that next step.
Well, we'll take that on notice for consideration.
We'll just check at the end of the project to see if there's any funds available.
Absolutely, and I can absolutely have the conversation with the contractor now to find out the viability of that and the potential cost of that, so that we can at least know how viable that is regardless of budget. And I'll try and get an answer in writing.
Within the budget?
I mean, it may not be viable whether or not we've got money, is what I mean.
But where they can jackhammer up one of the baskets and just move it, and, you know.
That would probably be outside the budget as soon as we start bashing up concrete.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's a couple already been down and played tennis and with what facilities there, and very happy with the new nets. And
Okay, that's good. I think we're going to have to steal John McEnroe's line. You know, Curry Court refurbishment completed on time and under budget. You cannot be serious. You know, would be the headline or something along those lines. We'll try and take a humorous angle. All right. Would somebody like to move that the growth and strategy report for September be received and noted? Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Green has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Across to page 78. It is 16.1. General Manager's report for September. Again, much of this we've recently covered in workshops. General Manager, do you have anything at your discretion to highlight?
Through the Mayor, no, I think it's all pretty straightforward. So, no, that's fine. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions or discussions related to this? We're all pretty familiar with the contents. Would somebody like to move, therefore, that the General Manager's report for September be received and noted? Deputy Mayor has moved. Councillor Healy has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Just noting the new numbers, Leah. We're back to eight of 9 again. Carried unanimously, 8 of 9. Over to 16.2, council workshops. Our workshop last week, and Councillor Rowan Cook's first workshop, joining us as a newly elected councillor. We had a fair bit to cover last week, and we did. Anything you'd like to highlight?
Through the Mayor, no, I think it's all fine. It's a lot of it was just for noting and to keep councillors up to date. And
much of it remains works in progress. All right, somebody like to move that the council workshop report be received and noted? Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Layla has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We are over the page now to item 16.3, the information report for September. Again, good to see some development applications there approved and in progress. I assume approved under delegation, but it's good progress that we like to see as a council, so that's great. The airport cleaning has gone on there as well under the procurements. We'll move on to the action list from page 85 onwards. Any questions or discussion points, welcome at the discretion of councillors. We're gradually striking them off.
Yes.
The actions list is gradually getting smaller, which again is welcome progress, but it's happening. Just noting, we're on page. My note on page 93. CCTV. So CCTV has been built at the Oval. The airport complex has been built and up there as well.
In process, yep. I think tomorrow is the last day.
Okay.
Yep.
And at some stage shortly, it should get remoted back to us and set up here in our reception area or wherever it feeds back to, and we can. I know a few of us will want to just have a look at it and see what it films and the fidelity of it, the quality of it, and whatever else, and just see what it's doing for us. We'll let you know when it's ready, available to do that. Any other questions then of the actions list from councillors? Councillor Healy. Sorry, Councillor Green.
Have we heard anything back from the Planning Commission on our submission?
General Manager.
Yes, we have. Our understanding is that it will be signed off within a week.
Okay, thank you.
Just clarify, I have actually had, it most likely will be signed off tomorrow. So once we receive that, it will become effective in 7 days.
So that means it will take effect
in 7 days.
We've got to receive it tomorrow in 7 days. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's I mean, I know we've been anticipating it for a while, but that's pretty quick to press the go button. So we'll have to make sure that we get some media out there and make sure that people are aware of it. And yeah. Okay. That'll be right. Look forward to that one. Service requests. We had a spike in service requests in September because of the storm damage. But that aside, Council continues to do well, clearing old service requests and dealing with the urgent ones that come in. Any final questions then for that report? Would somebody like to move that the information report for September be received and noted? Councillor Green has moved. Councillor Oracook has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 16.4, the Deputy General Manager's report. Again, much of this was covered last week in our workshop. We're still waiting on a back brief from Telstra, aren't we, about recent outages and improvements and upgrades to our network to make it more robust. Telstra did get back to us on was mentioned at the last council meeting after our storms. NBN and Telstra are looking for the owners of 7 dishes on King Island that they have blown out of alignment and aren't giving the required performance to whoever owns them on their roof, and also for NBN trying to feed in. So there are 7 dishes out there that are out of alignment that need to be realigned and retuned. So someone out there should know that they're getting a terrible performance with their Netflix, or can't get internet or whatever else. So if the paper's going to run a similar heads up to say, hey, that we know there are 7 out there that the dishes are out of whack. So again, let Telstra and NBN know, and they will bring a specialist over, and or have the Telstra employees here on the island fix them up and get them back to where they should be, so they get maximum performance for particularly data speeds and other stuff. Councillor Layla.
I say it could be some holiday owners that come over for Christmas and find they haven't got good...
Yes, you're right. Yeah, there could be a few holiday houses or other properties that are currently sitting empty, and they flick the TV on and they've... Nothing. Yeah, there's nothing. So anyway. But we'll get the word out, do our bit. The paper's going to get the word out, and so word of mouth also helps as well in our small community. So the owners of those 7 dishes, get them fixed and do yourself a favour and get your money's worth out of your subscription as well. Any other questions then for the Deputy General Manager's report? Would somebody like to move that the Deputy General Manager's report for September be received and noted? Deputy Mayor has moved. Councillor Layla has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page, item 16.5, recycling and modernisation update. Discussed at last week's workshop is another big work in progress. The container refund, no. What's the name of the scheme?
Container refund deposit
scheme. The container deposit refund scheme. Tomra Cleanaway, the newly appointed contractor, they are visiting the island soon. And not until we sit down with them will we know the cunning plans and the bespoke plans they have for how it's going to work on King Island. Up until that time, all we know is what the government announced in their big, broad press release. And so we don't know any more on this at this stage. But hopefully they'll come over soon and we'll sit down with them and we'll work out our involvement and how we can shape the best outcome for King Island, and they can work in with our waste program holistically. Any Councillor Oracook?
I don't know how to go about it. There's a couple in the recommendations. I'd like to sort of add a little bit to some of these points.
Could you just bring the recommendations up here?
I'd go first of all to point 3. There it says Council procures a baling/compactor machine for operation at the Charles Street MRF and bale protruders and other materials for transfer to Patena landfill. I'd like to see added to that, this baler should be able to process other items, etc. Example, aluminium cans or cardboard for shipment to recycling centres off island. In other words, there needs to be a compactor that can be multitasked, and rather than just one task.
I'm happy with those amendments. Are you happy, General Manager?
Check with the
Deputy GM, you are happy with those amendments? We haven't called for a mover or seconder yet, so if we can fine-tune a few of these recommendations before we call for a mover. So we'll just get your exact wording on that. Just check on the screen here. Are you happy with that? The baler should be able to process other items, such as cans. What else was there in there?
Can I just, sorry, through the mayor, just check, it wouldn't have to be shipped off the island, potentially. Is that right? Like it could be, or it could not be shipped off the island?
The petrissable waste is going to stay on the island, but anything, the baler should be able to, it could stay on the island too, so long as it can do it, it would do more than...
But it's for possible shipping off the island.
Yeah, possible.
That tidies it up.
Only because with the container deposit scheme, that I'm imagining the cans will be part of that program.
I don't know yet, but I assume that the...
Yeah, they may sub it to us, or we may sub it to them. We don't get none of it, so...
Yeah.
Possible, that's fine.
Right.
That's good.
Okay, the other thing was that the council procures an appropriate for King Island use specification garbage vehicle for curbside collections, and we put out some education to the community regarding how the truck will work, whether it's a fortnightly pickup of...
Could we perhaps say including a comprehensive education program for the community?
Yeah, there is there in an information thing in point 6, but it probably just needs tweaking a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that will be done a little bit down the track too, because this equipment's long lead time. First and foremost, we've got to go on the order book and order the equipment, then it's got to be delivered, then we've got to train up on it, work out how we're going to model the operation of it, And once we've got all those ducks lined up, then we go out and tell everyone how we're going to do it. So that'll happen later down the track, but yeah, okay, that's fine.
And I would like also to add a point 8, which says council procure and fit the modifications to the glass crusher to get it into effective use ASAP.
Through the mayor,
I'm happy.
Isn't the plan that we're going to buy a new glass crusher?
No, it would be modified.
We're going to modify,
Existing
okay.
one would be modified.
Okay.
yes.
So we'll just check that 8th point then. Council procure and fit the modifications to the glass crusher to get this to effective use, or I need to polish that wording a bit. To
Get this operating effectively. Yes.
to return it to full operational, capability or something like that. Yeah, to return it to full operational capability. Leah, that may well do it. You happy with that?
Yep, that's a good phrase.
We want it to fire on all cylinders. We want it to handle bigger, increased quantities, and so we want it to return to full operational use as soon as possible, yeah. All right, you happy with all that?
Yeah,
Just grammatically in point 4, probably a comma including rather than full stop including.
After collections, before including a comma, not a full stop. That's it.
Yeah, comment, little line.
I know we may need some grammatical work on point 2. I'm not too sure if the procurement of a commercial scooter having this waste material processed and disposed of on King Island. Yes. Oh no, lost my train of thought there, sorry.
We anticipate the majority of it, but perhaps not all of
I
it.
think maybe just to pick up the other suggestion, to facilitate this waste being processed and disposed of in King Island might be a better.
Yeah.
That's a good phrase, Councillor. To facilitate the waste material being processed and disposed of on King Island, just something like that.
No, that was she's working on number 8. We're back up in number 2.
Oh, number 2.
We're back up in point 2.
Oh, just to confuse you.
That's all right. We jumped up the top.
We went back.
Yeah.
To facilitate, after pallets, 2. To
Yeah,
facilitate
the end of 2.
the waste material being processed and disposed of on King Island. we could say to facilitate the processing and, it's all right, we'll work it out. What's the facilitating?
Instead of having this.
Yeah, instead of
The
having.
need from having to...
Yeah, just paste that in where having is.
Marty, can you help point Delia in the right direction? So it's number 2, and it's rather than saying having this waste processed, after pallets put to facilitate the processing and disposal of waste on King Island.
There you go.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That should be it. Happy with that?
Yeah, happy with that.
All right. Any more for any more? You want to move that?
I'll move it, yeah.
Excellent. Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Councillor Green has seconded the amendments. All those in favour? Councillor Bowden, are you with us?
No, I was fine on that one.
Okay. All right. So carried with Councillor Bowden and an abstention. All right. So the motion is carried, or amended motion is carried. We'll move over to item 16.6, community assistance grants, $2,500 for the King Island Boat Club for their Stonehaven Cup campaign. Somebody like to move it? Councillor Green has moved. Councillor Healy has seconded. All those in favour? Councillor Bowden, you with us? Yep. Carried unanimously. Okay. Over to page 106. 106 is item 16.7, CCTV Public Safety Program Review. The terms of reference have been amended and updated based on our suggestions from the workshop last Tuesday. In particular, point 4 has been tidied up, hopefully to the satisfaction of councillors, and mentions of specific criminality and those sorts of things have been taken out to broaden it. So hopefully that's met to the satisfaction of councillors from our discussions last week. No further?
I'll move it.
Deputy Mayor has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hilly has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Right, across to item 17.1, closed council. Would somebody like to move that we adjourn to closed council to transact the following? Councillor Ira Cook has moved. Councillor Layla has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. The ordinary meeting is adjourned. I thank the public for attending and we'll take a quick break.